Picture a dermatologist walking through their own bathroom at night, not the office, not the clinic with the framed medical degrees on the wall, their actual bathroom. What's sitting on that shelf is almost never the $180 serum with the gold packaging. It's usually a tub that costs less than a movie ticket, sold under fluorescent lighting next to the toothpaste. That's not a rumor. It's a pattern you can actually trace because a huge share of the boring drugstore skincare brands you walk past were either founded by dermatologists, developed with them, or later bought by the same handful of giant companies that also own the expensive department store names. So today we're doing something a little different on this channel. Instead of comparing a cheap product to an expensive dupe, we're going straight to the products that skin professionals themselves reach for. And then we're going to follow the money behind every single one, because the ownership stories here are honestly wilder than the skincare itself. 7 products, real prices, real parent companies. Let's start at number 7, Cetaphil Gentle Skin Cleanser. Picture this. You've just come out of a dermatology visit for eczema, rosacea, or post-procedure skin, and the doctor hands you a printed sheet of recommended products. In an enormous number of these handouts, one name shows up over and over: Cetaphil's Gentle Skin Cleanser, sitting around $12 to $17 depending on size. The reason it keeps showing up is almost boringly simple. It's a soap-free, fragrance-free cleanser built around a short, low-irritant ingredient list. No harsh sulfates stripping the skin barrier, no added scent to trigger a reaction. It's been around since the 1940s, originally formulated for pharmacies, long before gentle cleanser became a skincare marketing category on its own. Here's the ownership twist. Cetaphil is owned by Galderma, a dermatology-focused pharmaceutical company that also makes prescription treatments like Soolantra and injectables like Restylane and Dysport. The same company doing serious clinical-grade dermatology work also owns the $12 face wash. That's not a coincidence. It's the same reason doctors trust it. The parent company's entire identity is built on dermatology, not glamour. Number 7, Cetaphil. Next up is a moisturizer that has quietly become one of the most recommended products in modern skincare, and its parent company might surprise you. CeraVe Moisturizing Cream. Here's a scenario. 2 people leave the same dermatology office. One has eczema-prone skin. The other just wants a basic daily moisturizer. Both walk out with the same recommendation: CeraVe Moisturizing Cream, a tub that runs around $16 to $19. The reason it crosses so many different skin concerns comes down to 3 ceramides built into the formula, lipids that are naturally part of your skin barrier and help keep moisture in and irritants out. CeraVe was actually developed with dermatologists from the start back in 2005, which is part of why it built that reputation early. Now here's the reveal. In 2017, L'Oreal, the same company that owns Lancôme, Kiehl's, and Vichy, bought CeraVe for $1.3 billion in a deal that also included 2 smaller skincare brands. At the time, those 3 brands combined were only pulling in around $168 million a year in revenue. L'Oreal paid roughly 8 times that in annual sales just to get CeraVe into its portfolio. That tells you how much a genuinely trusted dermatologist-associated brand is worth, even sitting on a Target shelf at $19 a tub. Number 6, CeraVe. Coming up, a sunscreen that's practically a uniform inside dermatology offices, and it comes from the exact same parent company, La Roche-Posay and Thelios. Ask almost any dermatologist what sunscreen they personally wear, and there's a real chance the answer starts with La Roche-Posay's and Thelios line, usually priced somewhere between $28 and $40 depending on the formula. The brand's entire origin story is built around this exact use case. La Roche-Posay started near a French thermal spring town that dermatology patients were sent to for skin recovery, and the brand has spent decades building formulas specifically tested on sensitive, post-procedure, and reactive skin, the exact patients a dermatologist treats all day. And yes, La Roche-Posay also belongs to L'Oreal, which has owned it since 1989, decades before the CeraVe deal, which means the same conglomerate is selling you a $19 moisturizer at Target and a $35 sunscreen that's marketed as a dermatologist favorite, both funded by overlapping research and formulation teams. Different shelf, different price point, same parent company betting on the same science. Number 5, La Roche-Posay Anthelios. Next, we're talking about a moisturizer nobody's heard of unless they've specifically been told to buy it, and that's exactly why. Vanicream Moisturizing Cream. Here's a brand that almost never runs an ad, and that's kind of the point. Vanicream, priced around $14 to $18 depending on size, is a favorite specifically among dermatologists treating patients with severe eczema, contact dermatitis, or extreme sensitivity, the people for whom even gentle fragrance-free products from bigger brands still sometimes cause a reaction. The formula strips things down to a genuinely short ingredient list, free of dyes, fragrance, lanolin, and common preservative irritants like parabens and formaldehyde releasers. It's the kind of product that doesn't photograph well for social media because there's nothing flashy about a white tub with plain text on it. The twist here isn't a billion-dollar acquisition, it's the opposite. Vanicream is made by Pharmaceutical Specialties, Inc., a small, independent, family-run company based in Rochester, Minnesota. No L'Oreal, no Estée Lauder, no private equity fund behind it. In an industry where we keep uncovering the same 5 conglomerates owning almost everything, Vanicream is one of the rare names that stayed independent this whole time. And dermatologists recommend it anyway, purely because the formula does the job. Number 4, Vanicream. Up next, a $10 lotion that's been a pediatric dermatology staple for decades. Aveeno Daily Moisturizing Lotion, picture a pediatrician's office, or a dermatologist treating a toddler with dry, sensitive skin. There's a strong chance the recommendation on the way out the door is Aveeno's Daily Moisturizing Lotion, usually priced around $9 to $12. The formula is built around colloidal oatmeal, an ingredient Aveeno has centered its entire brand identity on since the 1940s. Oatmeal ground into a fine powder that helps soothe irritation and support the skin barrier, which is part of why it's been leaned on for conditions like eczema for generations. Here's the ownership reveal, and it connects back to a name you've probably seen in the news. Aveeno belongs to Kenvue, the consumer health company that Johnson & Johnson spun off into its own publicly traded business in 2023. Kenvue also owns Neutrogena, Johnson's Baby, and Listerine. So that quiet $10 lotion sits inside the same corporate family as some of the most recognized names in drugstore health and hygiene, just without the marketing budget going toward influencer campaigns instead of the formula itself. Number 3, Aveeno. Next up, the brand that basically built a following by publishing its own ingredient percentages on the bottle. The ordinary niacinamide, 10%, plus zinc, 1%. This one flips the usual pattern because it didn't start as a dermatologist clinical pick. It went viral first and the credibility caught up afterward. The Ordinary's niacinamide, 10% plus zinc, 1% serum, priced around $7 to $12, became one of the most talked about skincare products of the last several years for one very specific reason. It lists exactly what's in it, at what concentration, with almost none of the usual marketing language. Niacinamide itself is a well-studied ingredient for oil regulation and supporting the skin barrier, and zinc is added here to help with the same congestion concerns. The brand's whole pitch from the beginning was clinical formulations with integrity, treating you like someone who can read an ingredient list instead of someone who needs a fantasy sold to them. The ownership story is a slow-motion takeover. Estée Lauder first invested in The Ordinary's parent company, Deciem, back in 2017. It increased its stake to become majority owner in 2021. Then in mid-2024, it bought out the rest of the company for an estimated $860 million, bringing its total investment across all 3 rounds to roughly $1.7 billion. That's Estée Lauder, the same company behind Clinique and La Mer, spending close to $2 billion over 7 years to fully own a brand best known for a $7 serum in a brown glass bottle. Number 2, The Ordinary. And now, the product that might be the single most recommended item in dermatology offices in the country, and its price is almost insulting compared to what it competes against. Neutrogena Hydro Boost Water Gel. Here's the scenario. A dermatologist is asked on camera in an interview for a magazine feature on social media, doesn't matter where, what an affordable moisturizer actually works. An enormous share of the time, the answer that comes back is Neutrogena's Hydro Boost Water Gel, sitting around $20 to $22. The reason it keeps getting named is the hyaluronic acid-based oil-free gel formula engineered to hydrate without clogging pores, which made it a go-to recommendation even for acne-prone and combination skin types that struggle with heavier creams. It fills a genuinely specific gap: lightweight hydration that doesn't feel like skipping moisturizer altogether. And here's the reveal that ties this whole list together. Neutrogena, like Aveeno, belongs to Kenvue. The company J&J spun off in 2023, which means two products on this exact list, at numbers 3 and 1, both trace back to the same parent company. That's the pattern running through almost this entire video. 5 or 6 massive companies, L'Oreal, Estée Lauder, Kenvue, Galderma, quietly own most of the shelf that dermatologists actually trust, right alongside the prestige names they don't always recommend. Number 1. Neutrogena Hydro Boost. Beating out serums and creams 4 times its price, sitting in plain packaging under drugstore lighting. Let's run the full list back. Cetaphil Gentle Skin Cleanser, owned by dermatology-focused Galderma. CeraVe Moisturizing Cream, bought by L'Oreal for $1.3 billion. La Roche-Posay Anthelios, L'Oreal's other dermatology-trusted name. Vanicream, one of the rare genuinely independent family-run holdouts. Aveeno Daily Moisturizing Lotion, part of Kenvue. The Ordinary's Niacinamide Serum, now fully owned by Estée Lauder after a $1.7 billion buildup. And Neutrogena Hydro Boost, Aveeno's Kenvue sibling, sitting at number 1. Here's the thought I want to leave you with. The products dermatologists actually reach for aren't chosen because of a logo or a price tag. They're chosen because the formula does exactly what it claims and nothing more. A lot of the biggest names in beauty are betting you'll pay extra for packaging and prestige. And these 7 products are proof that the professionals aren't making that bet with their own skin. Tell me in the comments, which one of these is already sitting in your bathroom? And is there a drugstore skincare product you swear by that didn't make this list? If this was useful, subscribe, because next we're going the other direction. The expensive skincare products that dermatologists say are genuinely worth the splurge and exactly what justifies the price. Thanks for watching DupeAudit. See you in the next one.